Hello everybody, welcome back to C&S Corvettes in sunny Sarasota, Florida. It's your Corvette buddy Lyle here to talk to you about more interesting, exciting, and informative Corvette stuff. Before we get started though, take a look at this. Okay guys, we have another really good cause offering a sweepstakes for a 2024 Corvette Z06 plus $20,000 cash to cover your taxes. This is really a beautiful car. Obviously, we all want a Z06, and it's a chance to get a reasonable shot at winning one without having to lay out a lot of money. Now, the key here, and we always focus on this is being put up by MS Solutions, which is a charity that assists people with multiple sclerosis and helps them not only financially, but also helps raise public awareness so that more and more people maybe are helping to push for new solutions or further research. They've been around a long time. Obviously, they're based here in the United States. It's a worthy cause. And the cool part is, because we're partnering with them, if you go in and say, I'll give $100 to the charity, you're actually going to get an additional 25% more entries. So for $100, you get 90 entries plus an additional 23 because we're helping them out. So you'll see our promo code C&S here. You can do whichever amount you feel comfortable with. Enter your name, information, all that, and on the next page you enter your credit card information. And then the drawing for this card is on August 31st, 2024. So if you are seeing this video after that date, then check on one of my more recent videos, and we will probably have another charitable sweepstakes happening at that time that will still be ongoing. Otherwise, guys, I wish you the best of luck, and if I hear about you winning this car, I'd be really, really thrilled. So let me know. Thanks. Okay, guys, before we get started on today's subject, really quickly, we do have a trivia question for you. Answers in the comment below, and of course I'll give you the answer at the end. In what year did GM introduce both the 6-speed manual transmission and the optional convertible hardtop for the C4 Corvette? What year? In the comments below. Answer afterward. All right, for today's subject, guys, we're going to get nerdy. I did a lot of research this week to do this video, and I've got a whole bunch of facts and figures laid out in front of me here. I wanted to revisit what the Corvette market is looking like in 2024, specifically for the C5 through C8 cars. I'm going to do a separate video on the earlier cars because that's an entirely different market. But for today, I wanted to go, instead of just sitting down and going, well, let's see, what I'm seeing here is this, and this is my feeling on that. What I did was I went to Mannheim Auto Auctions. So for those of you who aren't familiar, Mannheim Auto Auctions is the premier dealer wholesale auction across the country. They got locations all over the United States, several in Canada, probably all over the world, where when you trade your car in at a dealer and they don't want to put it on the front line because it's not what they do, or it's too nice, or it's too not nice, they send it to the auction. And the auctions, then other dealers come to that auction to buy to put on their lots, right? So what they do is, over their hundreds of thousands and millions of sales, they compile a really interesting snapshot of what value cars are currently bringing. So they give you wholesale, they give you what estimated retail would be, and then they tell you what last year's wholesale was, okay? So that's going to be kind of where we're at. I'm going to go through and talk about C5, C6, C7, and C8 cars, and I've picked a few years of each to get a spread to see where these values are going today. I can also tell you that I picked coupes, and if there was an option like 1LT, 2LT, 3LT, I picked 2LT, so middle of the road, and I just allowed the Mannheim programming to insert whatever they assume is average mileage. That way I'm not skewing the values for super high or super low mile vehicles. All right, so here's the way this is going to work. I'm going to start with C5s. We'll go through 1998 Corvettes step by step. I'll explain what each thing means, and from there we can move forward a little bit more quickly. Are you ready? What? Oh, okay, good. Yeah, we're good. All right, C5 1998. As of today, wholesale estimated for that car is $10,400 for a coupe with average mileage. Estimated retail is $14,300. Estimated last year's wholesale value was $13,100 for a net change over the last 12 months of $2,750 in value. See how that works? Wholesale, estimated retail, last year's wholesale, and change. For 2001, we had $11,500 for estimated wholesale, $17.3 or $17,300 for estimated retail, and last year's retail estimate or last year's wholesale estimated was $10,100. So in their system and in their experience, the 2001 has actually improved $1,400 in value. 2004 coupe, middle of the road, $13,500 wholesale, $18,000 estimated retail. Last year, a estimated wholesale of $15,600, so a loss of $2,150 in wholesale value over 12 months. So what's that tell us about the C5? Let me sum it up. The C5 is continuing to go down in value, but it certainly isn't plummeting. There's just the cars are getting older, and there's so many more other options out there right now for cars with 350 horses that are a good performance value, many of which are newer and have better warranties than a 20-some-year-old car. However, the C5 is holding its value very, very well. You will notice the jump, though, between the 1998, where it has the ABS system that isn't rebuildable and didn't have some of the options like telescoping steering and all that stuff that wasn't available till later. That is going down considerably more than, say, the 2001 that has actually risen a little bit in wholesale value because it is a little more popular. Moving on to the C6, 2006, $14,500 estimated wholesale, $20,400 estimated retail, and last year's wholesale was $20,700. So the C6 coupe has taken a $6,200 hit in Manheim's system over the last 12 months. 2009 Corvette coupe again, $16,500 wholesale, $22,700 retail, and last year's estimated wholesale was $27,800. The 2009 has lost $11,200 according to their records. 2012 has lost an even bigger chunk, $18,600 wholesale, $23,300 estimated retail. Last year was $31,000 estimated. So it's lost $12,000. So what I think we're seeing with the C6s is when the C8s first came out, right after during COVID, couldn't get them, prices for everything started going up. Not only because you couldn't get the C8, but people decided already that they didn't want a mid-engine Corvette, so people started buying up C7s and people started buying up C6s, a lot of them because they were sitting at home with vacation money and other stuff that they couldn't use because of everything was shut down for COVID. One of the few things you could do was play with your car. And so C6 and C7 in prices, for a variety of reasons, have been greatly inflated over the last 3 or 4 years, and they are starting to kind of come back down to where they should have been from the beginning. So it's not like the C6 market is crashing, it's just correcting to where it should have been had there not been all these other artificial things intruding upon actual value. The C7, 2014 coupe, wholesale $33,200, estimated retail $38,900. Last year was $37,500, so it's lost about $4,300. 2016, $35,800 wholesale, $39,200 retail. Last year's estimated wholesale was $41,800. It's lost about $6,000, and the 2018 model has also lost about $6,000. So again, you're seeing that price correction as people who want C7s are getting C7s. The C8s are now much easier to get over the last year than they were at any time before. You can go buy one at most large dealerships for MSRP, as long as you don't want to have one bespoke built for you. If you just say, all right, I want a red one, you can go get one today for pretty much MSRP at any large Chevy dealer. So that has allowed everything else to start to price correct. What about the C8, Lyle? Let me tell you. The 2020 C8 last year, wholesale was $64,300. Estimated retail was $71,000 flat. And last year's estimated wholesale was $76,400. So they have actually dropped $12,100 in estimated wholesale value because the scarcity isn't there anymore. Which, of course, just like we've seen with the C6 and the C7, everything is starting to move downward to price correct now that the flow of C8s moving out of the factory is more or less regular. We're also, remember, going into our 5th year of C8 production. 5th year, can you believe that already? It's crazy. The 2022 C8, wholesale of $70,100, estimated retail of $75,700, and last year's retail was $80,800, or estimated wholesale, sorry, was $80,800. So it's lost $10,700 in value. Again, I wouldn't attribute that to the cars being worth less, just that the scarcity that drove prices up has evaporated pretty much, and now everything is starting to level out. So taking that information, I also wanted to look at some other cars that were, I mean, let's face it guys, it's hard to find a direct competitor for the Corvette. But I went through some of Mannheim's other cars to see kind of sort of things that were in the same price strata to see how they were faring at this point. The handful of other cars that weren't Corvettes that I picked just to look at a comparison was the Porsche Boxster, the first generation Audi R8, the Jaguar F-Type V8, the Maserati Gran Turismo, just because those cars are ridiculous, but I love them, and the Lexus RCF, which is their highest performance two-door coupe. The Boxster has basically lost, well, let's just run down the years. I did 2009, 2013, 2017, and 2021, because the Boxster's been in production that entire time in what we would consider the modern Corvette era. 2009s have lost $8,700 over the last year. 2013s have actually gained $3,000 in value. 2017s down $900 in wholesale value, and 2021's down $2,400 in value. You can see with the Boxsters, and the Porsches in general don't tend to lose a lot of value just because they have such a following. They aren't made in huge numbers, and they're just, they hold their value. I didn't even look at the 911 because that market is just, that's crazy. I don't even want to think about it. So the first generation Audi R8, mid-engined Audi supercar, kind of the sister car to the Lamborghini Huracan. Now this would have been the V8 version, not the V10. But in 2009, that car cost $115,000 new for the base, and it could go up from there with options. As of today, wholesale on that car is $61,800, estimated retail is $65,700, and last year's estimated wholesale was $60,500, so it's actually gone up $1,300 in value. Again, those cars are fairly scarce, and they are very desirable, so they are actually creeping upward in value. Now let's move on to the Jaguar. Jaguar F-Type V8 2016. Those cars started out life at about $72,000 retail. Wholesale now is $41,500. Estimated retail $45,900. And last year's wholesale was $45,000. So they've lost $3,900. 2019 F-Type V8, wholesale $45,600. Estimated retail $54,900, and they've only lost about $800, being a very relatively new car. Now let's talk about the Maserati Gran Turismo. One of the most beautiful cars and one of the best sounding cars I have ever seen, and I desperately want one, but I just know better. I know better. I won't do it. I promise I won't do it. A 2014 Gran Turismo, which listed at $134,000, is now wholesaled at $29,400. Estimated retail at $33,200. Last year wholesale was $34,300, so it's lost $5,000 a year in the last 12 months, but clearly losing over $100,000 in 10 years is not good for anybody. Man, I wish it wasn't the case that they were so unreliable. The 2018, you see the same thing. The 2018 Gran Turismo has lost $14,200 in the last year. And man, the first year you own those cars, you can just hear the money falling out of the side of it as you drive. So they're beautiful, they sound great, but good Lord, what a horrible investment. And now on to our last one, the Lexus RCF. Base priced those at $62,000 when they were new. A 2015 example should wholesale for about $32,500. Estimated retail of $38,200. Last year's wholesale was $33.3, and so it's only lost $800 in the last 12 months. And the 2018 version of that car is flat. It is exactly where it was last year at this time. Wholesales at $41,500 with an estimated retail value of $47,200. So I know that's a lot of facts and figures. I've tried to put some pictures up here so you weren't just looking at my stupid face while I was telling you all this. But if you listen to these numbers and you listen to the trends, you can see that the Corvette is staying up with all of these other very, very desirable vehicles. They're just suffering more of a market correction at this point because of the glut of demand for the C8 from 2-3 years ago that has kind of petered out over time now that everything's up and running. So I feel very bullish about any of the Corvettes just because they are still the best performance value on the planet. Yes, some of them are older and going to need work. Yes, they have their foibles, but in some, they're not a Gran Turismo, thank God. So if you guys have comments about this, if you have ideas about the values, if you disagree with Manheim's numbers, tell me why in the comments below. I hope you found this probably not entertaining, but at least informative. And I'll be back next week with more exciting stuff. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you soon. Oh, before I forget, trivia. What year was the Corvette 6-speed manual transmission and the factory auxiliary hardtop for convertibles introduced? That was in 1989. So if you said that below, way to go. Don't forget, guys, we do have the new t-shirts available with all 8 generations front and back. I did a video on them last week. If you're interested in those, by all means, grab a couple for you and your friends. Thanks much. We'll see you soon.